Welcome everyone to another episode of LanceScurvX, the Scurv podcast. Today I want to speak about something that was sent to me from my dear sister, and it's something that needs to be addressed. Anyway, I'm feeling good. I want to go deep dive into this, and I definitely want to hear your response to it. Now, this is a billboard that was shown to me, and basically it said something bad is about to happen. I may be off with one of the words, but I might even put it up on the screen right here. There was a huge billboard on the side of the highway, and red letters, black background. And I had to say the name of this particular movie because it's a Netflix movie, and that's what the title of it was. And in speaking with my sister, she brought up some points to me. Then my mind took it and ran with it also, and it jump-started me. And I want to speak about this. Life imitating art, predictive programming, molding our minds. When you have a movie put out like that, and I have a list of points that I'm going to go on and speak on to really fully bring it out. But these days, do we really need to hear something negative like that? Well, let's jump into it. Here's the first point. I have it on my phone. Fear sells, but at what cost? Entertainment has always used fear to grab attention. Horror, disaster films, and different types of series that are negative thrive because they trigger emotion. The question isn't why they do it, it's whether constant exposure to fear reshapes how people see reality. It does. Put it this way, even if it's not a movie, let's just say we take a child who is living in the rough side of the inner city. They hear gunshots at night. They see drugs being sold. They hear police sirens going off. They see violence between people, gang violence and different things. You think that doesn't have an effect on that child's mind, even though that child may have a very nice room, very nice parents, but the environment that it has to navigate through affects that child. That child one day goes across town or to another state, summer vacation, and they see how another cousin, friend of the family, how they live. They live out in a nice suburban area, gated community, low crime, nice community, everybody speaks. People are not stressed as much, it's a little more affluent money-wise. And they say, hey, wait a second, this is different. So when that child goes to sleep at night, they're still waiting to hear gunshots. They're still waiting to hear the police sirens. They're still waiting to see this gang activity and people out in the street doing wayward things, or with the potential and the mindset, when you see people out there who are not into anything good, you're like, all right, let me watch them. But that's become normalcy for that child. Now that's how they live, right? Hopefully they'll come out of that. But what about a movie piping in negativity into your brain all the time? You can have the best living conditions, but your mind directly to your brain. They have a saying, you can take a person out of the ghetto, but you can't take the ghetto out of the person. I'm not saying it's just a ghetto thing. I'm just comparing that even if you go somewhere where the living is nicer, right? The mind of the person could be influenced. Why do you think, and have you ever asked this question or heard this statement, that with all of the guns that you have in certain inner city neighborhoods, and stress and poverty and neediness that is in the white suburbs that produce these young kids that go into a store or some type or school and shoot the place up. We don't usually have that in the inner cities like that, where they just lose their mind. They're stressed and self-hate and different things. They take it out on each other because basically you kill where you live. So what's going on with these other children who have it better in their living conditions? I'm not going to just say that it's movies. It's also video games. It's also a disconnect with the parents. This is not about upbringing. I'm just showing you the point through a different category. You can't get away from it. The programming of the mind. If somebody you trust runs up to your front door and busts right into your apartment or your house, says, hey man, there's a guy out there with a gun. He's chasing people and he's got a silencer on it. You didn't hear it. And he's been shooting people in the head. And this person's sweating. Say, close the door, quick. We got to run out your back door and get out of here. Well, guess what you're going to do? You're going to panic, take action, and get out of there. So when you sit here and open up your eyes to a movie or something on, and there's fireworks going on back there. Ain't there something? As soon as I said that, you probably don't hear it. I don't know. But when you open your mind, your subconscious, and absorb this stuff, right? Constantly absorbing these violent video games and movies, and that molds how you think. And I got to throw this in here too. Look at your president of the United States. Look how he's going on with real stuff, killing people. This so-called war that he started. And he's talking like he's in a movie. He's talking like he thinks he's a hero, but he's talking like a villain. I'm going to send you back into the Stone Age and I'm going to, What affected his mind? I'm not going to say just a movie, but he's enjoyed a modicum of power and visibility and, you're fired and the different shows that he's been on and being a multi-billionaire at times, losing it and getting it back. His mind, and could you imagine how people kiss his behind? All these things are intoxicants. All these things, the sum total of what we absorb in our mind. But movies and media and social media is doing a number on people. Let me get to the next point. Negative content versus mental health. People are already dealing with stress, jobs, relationships, health issues. Flooding screens with dark, apocalyptic messaging can amplify anxiety, especially for vulnerable viewers. Ain't it enough stuff going on in the world right now? Isn't it enough stuff going on in our world, our personal worlds right now? Do we need to hear more stuff? The doom and gloom? The demonic stuff? And in a way, it braces us for this stuff. Like always, and I know you've heard this too, where what's the cartoon series? Where they've predicted things. Come on, I'm getting the brain fart. I don't even really watch it, I just see it. The Simpsons. And they have things that happen in that cartoon series and it happens in real life. Always, right? So, do we really need this stuff? People losing their jobs, cheating spouses, losing loved ones, as is the natural order, but it doesn't feel good. Personal health issues. That thing that we battle with, our sanity, our mental health. Now you have the drugs like Prozac to keep you feeling good. Keep you above that, but that's chemical. We haven't been taught on how to deal with the stresses of life in this society, this modern day society. It's just a matter, well, distract yourself. And if you're stressed and you distract yourself with something that's doom and gloom, that's going to make it worse. So what's up with that? And again, our children soaking this stuff in. And we know children are resilient. But there's certain things that they don't need to have to deal with at certain ages. And then to see it, we think just because they see it on a screen that, it's not bother them, it's just entertainment. No, they're very impressionable. People are very impressionable. I've said it before. When Bruce Lee was making karate movies, every young man wanted to go out and they made up karate. They didn't know karate, but when Rocky Balboa and Rocky, Sylvester Stallone came out with Rocky 1 back in the 70s, the first one. I don't know if he knew it was going to be a series, right? But everybody wanted to be a fighter. Guys that couldn't fight wanted to be a fighter and would get their butt kicked. Their butt kicked, not kicks. Kicks are for Bruce Lee. But we're still impressionable. But we can't act out what we see in the movies now. We know it's not real on the screen, but when we look at real life and see that it's similar, it's real. It can happen. Now with all these effects, AI and computer-generated things, and you sit there and it's like, you can't even tell now on the computer or on your phone when something is AI generated. It's getting so good now. In Hollywood, the things that they're putting out is diminishing our humanity. Next one. Children are absorbing this too. Even if content is not for kids, they still see billboards, clips, and social media snippets. Early exposure to doom-heavy messaging can influence how children perceive safety, trust, and the future. That's terrible. We've all heard it. If you have children or have been around children, young children, Mommy, I'm scared. Perception is everything. The child might be in the room that they know to be safe, but they saw something in the street, overheard something, and perceived it a certain way, and they don't feel safe anymore. Why are you scared? Because you think something can happen. Mommy, I'm scared. I saw that man that was hit by the car, and that's real life. So children are like putty. They're moldable. They're very impressionable. They absorb what's around them. And you keep absorbing that and absorbing that as that mold sets and hardens. When you become an adult, it's not something overnight that made you go out and do something. You've been accumulating toxicity most of your life, or high levels of it. And remember, it's not written in stone with every child, but as human beings, we all have our own personality, our own strengths, our own weaknesses. There's some people who can go through things that would crush you personally. I'm not saying you're weak. I'm just using it as an example. And there's some things that you've gone through that didn't bother you as much. And the next person, it would handicap them emotionally and mentally for a long time. Some people are more resilient, some people are not. Some people, or most people, have different degrees of being resilient in different areas of their life, where they can take this scenario, but they can't take that. So we don't know the effects, but what Hollywood is doing and what media is doing is no good, because it doesn't need to add on to what's going on in this world. Anybody who's lived several decades in this life know that things were different. We had the same issues, a lot of the same challenges, but the intensity now is even more so because of technology and the things that are allowed to get into our brain. It's too much. Predictive programming, coincidence or pattern. Some believe media introduces ideas before they happen in real life. You see, The Simpsons? Whether or not the pattern recognition people feel is powerful and shapes public trust in media. And do we really have trust in the media? We see them as liars now. I mean, ever since social media came out, people can lie for clickbait and stuff, but you do have platforms that tell it like it is, and can make you see the fallacies with the so-called mainstream news platforms. And They talk about things, and people are more hip today than they ever been before. I think after 9/11, the World Trade Center attacks, that shook up a lot of people. And people were still saying, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. Because there are people who had their heads so deep in the mud, and there are people who are still that way, who will fight you to not see reality or accept that the possibility that things are not what they appear to be, and we need to dig a little deeper and peel back the layers. We need to peel back the layers, y'all. Keep peeling back the layers. Even if it looks like it's just one layer, pull back the layers. You see? Always look beyond, because what's handed to you on a silver platter, as far as a movie, is not just that. It's much more to it than that. What's the end goal? Right? Desensitization to crisis. When people constantly see disasters, violence, and collapse scenarios, right? They may become numb, less empathetic, or even passive toward real-world suffering. I believe so. You see, you're desensitized to this. I've seen things in life, in different areas of my life, like when I work with the incarcerated and just driving the bus through the street, driving the van up in New York City as my little side hustle that became a full-time thing. I'm in the streets in South Jamaica, driving up and down at night and the day, and I'm seeing things. People running past you, stabbed up, gunshots, and you can hear how the bullet sounds passing by your head. The bullet wasn't meant for me, but it's close calls like that. People you know that if you pick them up, it's problems, so you keep on going. Accidents and police stuff and just stuff. And after a while, I mean, I was never scared. I would say I was adrenalized, because I know if I'm adrenalized in this situation, I'm going to react faster. I'm not going to be passive. I'm scared. No. Something goes down, you better evaluate it quickly and take action, because those few seconds that you take action in will save your life. But we have become desensitized to a lot. You know, example, with our families, the connection that we have with our loved ones. Maybe we still maintain that and we're desensitized to the outside world, but you have a child or a spouse, and they're walking through the living room and it's dark. The TV's on, but they're watching the TV and they went to go get a little plate of snack or some food or something. They're coming back and they bash their foot hard, their shin hard on the coffee table, and it hurts. And they're like, oh. And what do? Oh, are you okay? You feel it too. Because you're connected with your family and your loved ones. We're usually not connected with other people who are strangers in the street. The general attitude is not me, it's not my family, it's them. It ain't my family, but it can happen to you. It doesn't mean that you're going to cry your eyes out, but have a certain feeling toward the next human being. And these movies are desensitizing us and cutting us off from being humane with each other. The society is so cold, right? Algorithm-driven negativity. Streaming platforms and social media push what gets engagement, and fear performs well. This creates a loop where darker content is promoted more, not necessarily because it's meaningful, but because it's clickable. You gotta make that money. Hollywood trying to make that money. Hollywood is already taking a beating right now. You know, they're not getting the money they used to as an industry. I couldn't tell you the individual dynamics of how and why, but they're not getting it like they used to. So they got to come out with some stuff. Who goes to the movie theaters anymore? Some people do, but not as much like before. I remember growing up and there was a movie that came out that was high in demand, and the lines were so long. And they would wait in line for the movie to finish 2 hours for the next set of people to come in. And it's not like the malls now. In the shopping malls where they had movie theaters and you can leave one and come into the other one? No, no. When you were watching that movie, you had to get out and let the other people in. Security and everything. Not all the time for regular stuff. But I remember when it was high in demand, they want to get the paying customers coming in. You saw the movie, you get out. Creative expression versus social responsibility. Filmmakers will argue they're telling stories, not shaping behavior. But when millions consume the same themes, there's a responsibility to consider psychological impact. See, they say they're telling us, oh, we're just telling stories, but it's affecting people, you know? And it just takes a little bit here, a little bit there. It doesn't mean that if you see a movie about a mass murderer, you're just all of a sudden going to get desensitized and become a mass murderer. But just like Chinese water torture, where they sit you down, they probably have you restrained somehow so your head's in one spot, and they have that one drop it on your head in the same spot. Just one drop of water. After a while, it feels like somebody's hitting you in the head with a hammer. It's not cracking your skull open, but that's the way it feels. So what slow drip are we receiving in society, in modern day society, that's making us desensitized to certain things and turning us into something else other than what we were created to be as human beings toward each other? There has to be an effect. If you as a man watch porn all day at every opportunity, every woman you see sex, you see her as a sex object. You're evaluating her body, what she feels like, what it might be to be with her. Your mind is, I had to use that example. A lot of men can identify with that. Maybe they don't even realize how screwed up their mind is. And they can get into certain addictions. Well, some people are addicted to the rush of seeing violent things. You see a movie that agrees with you politically or in society, something that we go through, say, for example, racism, and it's a movie that it's not a righteous thing, but it's inflammatory, and it gets you mad. Not righteously mad to say, hey, this is what we got to change, but I'm going to go out and do something to somebody. And we can look at every slice of society and see something out there that will affect that slice of society that way. It's not always good. Fear-based, violence, gory, blood, demonic, evil. Examples of what we're seeing, and we emulate that. Even if we have sense to not emulate that, there's a certain side of us. Because, see, when we have certain personal situations and we really get angry, we might get into the mode of what we saw in that movie. You see what I mean? I remember there was a guy that lived across the street from me, and he got into a fight with somebody, and we had a chain link fence in front of the house. And I was in the front room looking down, and it happened so quick. I'm looking at, this is a long time ago, like in the late 70s, early 80s or something like that. And he was punching the guy, right? He was getting the best of the guy, but then he looked over the guy's shoulder to see if I was looking. Because at that time, he's a grown man, but I got a few years on him. But let's say I have 5 or 6 years on him, and he was younger, and I was doing bodybuilding, and I was strong, and people looked up to me. So if I can beat this guy down in front of Lance, who I admire, that means something. That's influence. You get into a fight with somebody, and Mike Tyson is sitting over there watching you. You're gonna go harder because he used to be the heavyweight champion of the world, the baddest man on the planet. I gotta show him that I got it going on, because when I finish knocking this guy out, I want him to come over and say, hey man, it was a good fight, man. You really took care of him. You stole some of my moves, but I'm telling you, man, you could be a champion. Yeah. And the validation, right? Here it is. Energy, language, and repetition. There's a belief that repeating negative phrases, something bad is coming, something bad is coming, something bad is coming, influences mindset. Even scientifically, repetition reinforces thought patterns. What we hear repeatedly affects how we think. Like I told you, when I was training and I was really in that final year as being a teenager in competition in bodybuilding, and I had that song, and I mentioned it before, by D-Train, Keep On. It was positive. It reinforced me. It was a good beat. It wasn't some angry beat, but it was positive, but it was strong. And I played this in my ear. So no matter how much maybe on a low-calorie diet I felt a little weak, a little lethargic, my spirit was picked up and it affected me. But this is how we have to learn how to administer the stimulation of music, or maybe even a movie if it's something righteous and takes you to a good place. What happened to the family-friendly movies that you can take your children to? Like your whole family get up and go. And there's a good message in this movie. There's no violence, there's nothing bad. Maybe a tear-jerking moment or something like that, but something that you feel better that you expose to your children. And it pulls you together. And on the way home, you have a discussion about this. These movies these days, something bad is going to happen. How could you positively absorb that? Because you're going to run with our own thoughts with that. Whatever we think is the worst thing, that might happen. And go to sleep on that. And wake up and see how you feel, if you feel enthusiastic for your day. We got to take control as to what gets in here. We have to program ourselves, right? They say television programs, right? Broadcasting, casting spells on a broad level. They already, channels, channeling. No good. And what they're putting out there, they don't give a damn as long as they make money from it. Escapism has turned into immersion. Entertainment used to help people escape reality. Now, ultra-realistic storytelling can blur the line between fiction and reality, making fear feel immediate and personal. And you can't separate it. It's too real what you see. It's almost like you're really seeing a real live event. You don't get that with plays because these are actors on the stage and it's a play. If one of the actors is supposed to stab somebody else and there's a little bag of ketchup behind him, okay, it's a little prop. This is not real, it's a play. But when you can sit there and they got now certain movie theaters where the seats move, if something crashes, the sound comes out here, smoke pops up, you can give somebody a heart attack with that. You don't even need that stuff, that extra stuff, because the screen is arresting enough of it already. And if you're in the privacy of your own home, and you can get up and go to the bathroom when you want and freeze everything and come back and watch it again and again and again. I want to go back and see that part. Run that back. I want to see that again. It's Netflix. And you see it again. Stop it and freeze it. Look at it. Now you're really programming this stuff in your mind. Escapism has turned into immersion. Here's the last one. Audience power. We choose what wins. Hollywood follows money and attention. If people demand more uplifting, solution-based, or empowering content, the industry will shift. See? It would. Because if nobody goes to these movies, and we're talking Hollywood, right? Because of that billboard and that image. But again, like I said, it's social media. It's the things that people talk about there, because anybody can upload and have an opinion that latches on to what you might think may be reality or truth and pull you into this group of thinkers that you're thinking all kind of violent and bad things or depressing things or defeated things. Could you imagine how, and that's the end of my points, but I'm going to say it this way. Could you imagine how many of us give up because we feel hopeless because of what we see on these platforms? It's really something that we need to ponder. It's stimulating to scroll. It's stimulating to, I don't want to watch that video. I don't want to watch, I want to watch that one. Why do you want to watch it? Are you learning something? Or is it entertainment? I have no problem with you entertaining yourself, but be careful how you entertain yourself, right? Be careful what you put into your mind. You see salt, you see flour, you can make something out of flour. It's white powdery, right? You see salt, little grains and stuff, but you put it in your body, it adds a flavor. Maybe you might need some salt. But then there's another white powder called cocaine. Just because it looks like flour and is similar to salt on first sight, do you put that in your body? So just because a movie is a movie doesn't mean it's safe for you. You have to choose certain things. Certain things can upset you. Even certain music, right? You just break up with somebody and you hear a song that you used to love with this person together and it reminds you, of course you're going to have memories and sad memories, good memories, whatever, but do you want to listen to that right there? Because you're going to start crying or feeling bad. Some people are gluts for punishment. They'll play something over from 40 years ago and get sad about it again and stay in that same emotional space. But how is this stuff affecting you emotionally? You see? And it's just, I don't know. It's making us accept things that we shouldn't. And it's giving the control over to the demonic entities that make these things. Because they know what they're doing with movies and marketing and the doom and gloom. You know, some of us want to see this stuff because we feel something's coming. Well, let me just go ahead and see a movie about it and maybe I'll feel better. I'll see it and that would take up my mental focus. But then when you're in the outside world and you hear this, the president, I'm going to throw a nuke at you, and then that means one might come back our way. Then we hear people arguing, will we make it through the next 5 years? Will we this? Will we that? And you process this stuff. You know, we may have to go through certain things, but like it was told to me through my dear sister, we have to hold on to hope. I'm not talking about the Jesse Jackson, oh, keep hope alive, just a slogan. But we have to see a way to remain positive in this world, because there is a thing called good. There is a thing called the Creator. And this world has been hijacked, the worldly system, by evil entities. You can call it what you want to call it. But the bottom line is that there is hope and there are good people here. And collectively, if we take our minds back and collectively reject this stuff, what it's trying to put into our mind, and replace it with something that's very empowering, we can turn things around. Don't let them get you on that simple level that you thought was harmless. It's just, they said that, but it's just the title of a movie. It's a social experiment. They're trying to see what we will accept, and it's a spiritual attack. How are you going to feel strong and positive to build a new world and come together with people when you're absorbing stuff like that? Well, what they said was positive, but you know what? Something bad might happen anyway. See, in boxing or any combat sport, when you want to defeat an opponent, first, you got to defeat them in their mind. And we're walking around defeated, talking positive stuff, but really absorbing the defeated stuff, the negative stuff. And that's why it's harder for us to wake up in the morning time with enthusiasm to say, I'm going to have a wonderful, productive day no matter what. How many of us say that? I know I say it. Regardless as to what, whatever setback, I'm going to have something positive I exit this day with. Several things. So if the whole day goes negative, I'm not accepting that. But if it did, then I'm doubling up on the positivity the next day. I'm building. I have vision. Nobody's going to hijack my mind. There's no devil, no demon that's going to hijack my mind and have me subservient to what they're implanting in my head through a movie or a billboard. I would never even watch that movie. I'd rather stuff in me to elevate me and have me ascend and to go higher spiritually. This is why I'm a tough cookie to crack. The engineered isolation that I put myself through. Like I said before, when I go outside, I can see your spirit. I can look in your eyes and tell what's in your mind or how you are as a person. I download your essence. I'll spit it back out if it's bad. But you have to be that strong within yourself to see what things really are by peeling back the layers or seeing through the layers. But your mind belongs to you. Your mind is your command center. It dictates how your day is going to go, how you problem solve or challenge solve, and all the good things that will happen. It's a product of a thought. Everything around you that you see is a product of a thought. That TV behind me, the vase behind me, the stonework behind me, it's a product of my thought, how I wanted things to be. If you give up your ability to think and let people implant something inside your mind, they have robbed you of your life. They have robbed you of your creativity, your ability to create new realities just by what your mind is thinking. You have clutter and negativity in your mind, and it's taking up space. You got old furniture in your house. I'm not saying you personally, but just say that that's the case. You got old furniture in your house, and you ordered new furniture, but you refuse to get rid of the old furniture in this room. So where's the room for the new furniture? If you have all this negativity clogged up in your brain, where's the room for the positivity? If you have all this negative stuff, or if you just submit and let things flow into your mind. And those are the components that you take to build your new reality. So if it's something bad gonna happen, something bad gonna happen, well, what good is gonna come out of that if that's all you can focus on and you let people put that stuff in your mind and control you, and they call it entertainment? It's clickbait. You walk around scared and fearful, defeated, like you can't do anything and you can't accomplish anything, and you think the goodness is for other people and you're not worthy of that. Well, you're not worthy as long as you put the wrong thing in your head. You're not worthy. And you made yourself not worthy, but in essence, you are worthy, but you control what goes in your programming in your mind. I play positive music. I play music that takes me higher. Even if it's just the instrumental version and the energy from the song, and it pumps me up in a good way, and I have my mindset on certain things. So even people will say war is negative, but when you look at the old movies where men went to war and they had that chant and they have that African drum beat, we going to war, we're defending our people, and it makes the men stronger. Well, war, not the way it is now in these days, but war against evil, war against demonic forces, war against things that are going to try to defeat you, I'm with it. Let's go to battle. Play the drum beat, hit the drum beat, pump me up, get me ready. Just like those songs I played before I'd hit the gym. Man, how you so strong right now, man? You only eating this, you only eating this? It's because my spirit, my mind. What the mind can perceive, the body can achieve. And if your mind is taken over by something else, you ain't gonna have a positive life. Let's just say it that way, in a slangy, Ebonic way. Anyway, salute to my brothers. Much love to my sisters. I will see you on the next one. On to the next one. Leave your comments and your feedback and hit LanceScurvX.com, LanceScurv.com. It goes to the same place to see all the stuff we put out that we may not be able to put out here. It's always a pleasure and it's always an enjoyment from the heart. This ain't no script. This is real talk. Peace.